And welcome to episode 8 of Podcast-No-Jutsu. It's time for a chat. The title will make sense as we continue. For today's topic is sci-fi time travel and how it's not possible. Now, obviously, I will be on the very much it's not possible side of things, whereas Nick will be trying to defend it if he manages. Anything
Well,
you'd
I'm
like to
not gonna
say?
s- I'm not gonna say that it's 100% possible, but then again, like, what if it is possible? Like, when you look into it, like, what if it is actually possible? What if they're actually suppressing time travel? What if it's actually already available out there? So,
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's just get straight into this. Let's say you want to go back 100 years. Let's say the building you're in is 100 years old. Okay, so if you go back 100 years in time, you'll be in your room in the exact same spot. That's your goal. Okay, do you
why would I want
agree
to
to
be
that?
in my why would I want to be in my building if I could go back into the past 100 years?
Because we're
There's
talking
so
about,
much more I could do.
well, yes, but okay. So you're saying you don't want to teleport as well as go time, you know, time travel.
I mean, like if I time travel, I could actually go to whatever year I want to go, right? That means that in
Yes,
that
but
year I'll
your
be able to move
location would not
freely.
change.
Yeah, the location would not change. The only thing that I would have to do is that like walk out of my door, and I'll be free to move wherever I want to, right?
Yeah, well, okay. That's what I'm saying. Let's say you go back 100 years in your room. Okay?
Okay.
Yes, we
Mhm.
agree with that.
Okay.
Now, that means you have to take 100 years worth of the things that happened to go back. Now, what do you think are the two major problems with that?
I don't know. I'm not the scientific geek here, so I'd let you fill
Okay,
in on that.
the biggest problem you'd face is the fact that how should I put this? You'd have to teleport. Because if you were to go back 100 years backwards, in your exact location, you'll be fuck off somewhere in space. Because
Mm-hmm.
the universe constantly expands. Our galaxy moves, our solar system moves, our Earth rotates, tectonic plates on the Earth move. So
Yep. Mhm. I
to
agree.
it would be impossible for you to go back in time and end up in even 1 second. You'd end up fuck off in space. There is no. You'd have to be able to change location or target a location, which would be akin to teleportation. Because there's no way to anchor yourself unless you had a specific machine that anchored itself. So you'd have to have a time machine in the past to move to the past. So you could only travel forwards. Do you see the
So you're
problem?
talking you're talking about moving into the future.
Well, that's if let's put it this way: time travel, you know, changing how time flows, reversing it, pretty impossible. But
So what you're
stopping
saying
it,
is that so what you're saying is that it's actually possible to actually go into the future, whereas going back in time it's not possible. Is that what you're trying to say here?
I mean, think of it this way: you've already time traveled in your life.
I have.
We are we've moved forward in time as we spoke. We've technically traveled in time because time is a dimension.
Hmm.
Mm. Now, there's there are cases of time slowing down.
Hmm.
Example, I'm going to mention um, three examples here.
Okay.
Well, not really examples, they're just one of them is an example, the others are ideas. Time perception, how you perceive time, right? When you
Well,
have a
that
rush
is
of
an interest.
adrenaline,
I mean, that is an interesting concept. Like when I was a kid, like I used to have this perception that time was really slow. I believe that you had the same perception as well about time, like when we were kids. Like it used to pass really slow. Like a whole year, it would feel like 10 freaking years, like for a whole year to pass. Whereas now, it's passing pretty quickly. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that we turn into adults and our perception of time has changed, or if time has indeed started speeding up. I don't know.
Well, no, that's a lens effect. Basically, you think time went really quick when you were younger because you don't remember as much detail about those times. So there's less happening from your perspective now than there was from your perspective back then. Same
No,
as
what I'm
time.
saying is that no, what I'm saying is that time used to go slower when I was a kid. Didn't used to go faster when I was a kid. It used to go like really slow. Like one
Once
whole year,
again,
it will feel like 10
it's how
freaking
you're
years.
viewing it.
Whereas now, 1 year feels like 10 days. Like, what is going on?
Once again, it's because of it's not that it's going slower. It's how you're perceiving it now. If you were constantly thinking about it back then, time goes at the same speed as it does, well, it always does. Technically, no. Like anyway,
Mm,
your perception changes depending on, for example, now you have more things on your mind. You're
mm,
working, so thinking about that. You're running a YouTube channel, you're thinking about that. So you have
mm,
things on the back of your head which distract you from reality for split seconds, which make it
mm.
seem quicker. But when you were younger, you had no concept of thinking that far forward, did
Mm.
you?
That, mm,
Anyway,
that, that-
anyway, this brings me to the second point, and this is an important one: gravity. Now, high
what is?
gravity, incredible gravity, does slow down time technically.
I mean, like,
No, wait, no. It speeds up time, or does it slow down? Which one is it? I don't remember. Fuck.
uh,
Um,
no, I mean, like, how? What does gravity have to do with time? Like, is there like any relation between time and gravity? Because from what I
hey,
know about time, like, they're not related anyways, are they? Like time and gravity.
time is how it's a dimension, like distance, like basically what gravity does because it bends space. It makes time either bend so it feels longer because it's sort of, oh god, how do I explain this? Um, oh god, uh, there's been an astronaut, right? He was in orbit for absolute ages. He
Who
came
was
back.
in orbit?
Sorry,
Say again, like I had a bit of an issue with my connection. So who was in orbit?
there was an astronaut. I can't remember. This is me trying to remember something I've read like 5 years ago. An astronaut was in space for
Okay.
ages. He was on the space station for incredibly long time. I'm sure they have most of them, but if I remember correctly, he came back, and obviously they had to run all the tests,
Mm-hmm.
physical, blah blah blah. He came back like a percentage younger than he should have.
So wait, let me get this straight. So you're saying that in space, time over in space. Is that what you're saying?
Say it again, because you've cut out now.
Are you saying that time is much slower in space? Is that what you're saying, or in space you're actually going back to the past?
No,
Like the more, like the more.
let's not start getting ridiculous. You don't go back in time. That's out of the question at this precise moment of
I
our
mean, like,
technology.
you said that he appeared to be much more younger than he was, like when he actually left Earth. So are
Not
you saying
much.
that the more time you actually spend in space, the more time seems to reverse itself? Is that what you're on about?
Sorry. By the way, I just googled it. Gravity does make time appear to go much slower because
Okay.
it bends space time. Um.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, he came back slightly younger than he should have. It wasn't nothing major, but it was enough to like be written about.
Okay.
And that's like I said, it's impossible to reverse time, but it's not impossible to slow it down to possibly make yourself travel into the future by making an artificial high gravity I guess object, room, machine that would slow down your time enough so that everything around you would move faster while you're anchored to a specific spot.
Okay.
But that's not time travel. Once again, you're not moving in time, you're not traveling in time. You're just experiencing things very much slower.
Because of
Which is
gravity, right?
what is that? It is a it's a what you call these? It's an idea. It's not there's no way to prove it. There's no way to disprove it. It's a possibility. It's a hearsay. But if you were to create a massive gravitational device, you'd possibly be able to move forward in time. But to
Mm.
bend time backwards, it's a bit more difficult. But on
Mm.
the other hand, this is a slightly different story, but I don't know how much knowledge you've got on what do you call them? Oh fuck, black holes.
Black holes, basically,
No,
this is all I know about black holes. Like,
no,
basically, like,
sorry,
even light
no.
cannot escape, like, once it enters
That's
a
not what.
black hole, but it's like an infinite,
No, that's not what I want to say.
loop of
I
darkness,
don't know
right?
how much you know about the theories for the beginning of the universe. Obviously, you have your Big Bang. Obviously, you have your, simulation. Obviously, you have your, other theories. But there's a theory that near the beginning of the universe, there's two interesting ones. One, light used to travel much faster through the universe.
Are we
Light
gonna
part.
talk about, are we gonna talk about the biblical beginning of the universe as well, or are we just gonna focus on the scientific side of it?
We're gonna focus on the one that actually is real. Um, fucking biblical. Yes, because okay. So you telling me that this mighty God created the universe in the same amount of days as create a human? Like, okay, so we're as complex as the universe.
Wait, but
Right.
when you look into it, nobody disproved that. So when you look
Yes, they
into it,
have.
when you look into
Many
it,
times.
nobody
We
disproved that.
literally, we
And even
literally
the theory,
killed.
and
We
even the Big
literally
Bang
killed
theory,
millions.
even the Big Bang theory, it's just a theory. Like nobody has solid proof that it actually happened. So when you look into it, that's what everyone is saying. That's what the experts are saying. The so-called
You know
so-called
the
scientists and the
scientific.
physicists and whatever. That's what they're telling us. But we have like we don't know for certain that they're actually if they're actually saying the truth or actually chatting bullcrap. So it's
Listen
like a
here,
bunch of scientists who are gathering in who gather in a scientific lab or whatever. They put forth their theories. They don't have definitive proof. They say that this is what happened or that is what happened based on some theory that they come up with, and they're telling us that that is the truth. Like, how can we believe it? Like, have we seen it for ourselves? No.
hey, yes,
Are
yes,
we
we
supposed
have.
are we supposed to take their word
Let
for
me finish,
it?
you
Not what
fucking dickhead. Listen to me when I speak. Fuck, you dickhead. Listen.
when you look into
We
it.
we are still within the explosion of the Big Bang. It has been proven. The Big Bang is still continuing. Our universe is just a massive explosion. That has been observed.
If, if our universe is a massive explosion, then how comes we ain't blowing up along with the universe? Like, how many people do you know have actually survived explosions? Like, if you're talking about like
How
cosmic
many
explosions, it's gonna be
explosions
like a
do you
big
know that
massive
go on for
explosions, like
billions and trillions of years?
bigger
Go on,
than
tell me how many
nuclear
explosions
explosions.
go on for how long?
And you're saying that our universe is constantly under explosion, then how comes the Earth ain't blowing up? Like, what kind of a ludicrous fact is that? Come on,
What
you're
are
talking
you?
about explosion.
The universe, the Big Bang happened. Boom! And the explosions are expanding, and that's why the universe is expanding because it's an explosion.
Well, what is your proof that the universe is expanding? That's what the science guys are saying. But do you have like any definite proof in your hands saying that stating that the universe is expanding? Like the
I
science
don't
guys,
have
they're telling that the universe is
I
expanding. Like,
don't have
but
a telescope that allows me to observe the distance between stars and galaxies slowly expanding. No, but the science guys do because they got science and technology and not a fucking 100-year-old book that says someone shucked his own mum through a ghost and made fucking facts.
see, I don't get it. Why you science guys have to go like all rude and all go have to go on a profound rant. Like I'm just asking questions like out of curiosity. I'm not,
No, you're
I'm not,
not asking fucking
I'm
questions.
not, I'm
You
not
just
going on a,
you just
I'm
kept
not going
going
on a
about some
profane rant.
stupid shit
I'm not
saying,
going on a
I
profane
ain't
rant.
nothing science,
I'm not
guys.
being, I'm not being disrespectful. All I'm asking is a legit question. Like, how can you be so certain that the science guys are
You
right?
didn't ask a
Like,
question. You were saying, "Oh, you got no proof. There's no proof. There's no proof." And I just told you the proof. I just told you the
like what?
scientific research. You,
Yeah, they're saying scientific research, scientific research, scientific research. Like, do we like actually see this research happening? It's
I just
it's
told. Oh my
it's
god.
like random. It's like random people who call themselves scientists. They say, "Oh, we are the science guys. We do this. We do that," and they like present like so-called alleged proof to us. Like, what is the actual proof that it is the actual proof? That is my question. Like, have we actually seen this in action? No, we haven't.
I just
Are they
told
like
you we
showing us
have.
like substantial,
I just
credible
told
proof,
you
or
we
they are
have.
in their word against
I'm sorry
ours?
that you can't
How
afford the
can you
equipment
be
to check
100%?
it. Do you realize this is like £1 million fucking investments to check this out?
And the other thing is that how come we haven't been in space since the 1960s? Like 1969, we've
We
been to
have. We have. Let's not
when
have
have
this stupid conversation again.
when have
We
when
have.
have
People have been to
when
the moon since. There's been a week-long expedition to gather fucking moon rocks and fucking calculation and run tests on the fucking
but
moon.
talking about moon rocks,
Mm.
you know the moon rocks that actually Neil Armstrong brought to Earth. He actually donated a moon rock or something that he actually brought to Earth from the moon to some scientific guy. And apparently, like when he checked like what the heck this moon rock was, you know what they actually found out? It was actually a decaying wooden plank or something. Like how did
What?
that happen? How did
Where
that
is your
happen? Google it.
where is
You can Google this information.
no no this is your argument. Show me the proof.
Yeah, but this is
The
actually an
burden of proof is upon you to show me a wooden plank from the moon. Go.
they said moon
Wooden
rock
plank from the
moon
moon.
rock
Go.
just Google moon rock turns out to be
No.
fake. Even the telegraph, they have an article about it. Just Google it. Look into it. Look into it.
No. No. You're the one
Oh yeah,
claiming it's
it was
burden
actually a moon
of
rock given to the
proof
Dutch
is upon
prime
you.
minister. It was actually a moon rock given to Dutch prime minister. Do you really think that the Dutch prime minister is going to go on record and say that it's fake? It was a moon rock that was given to the Dutch prime minister by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And you know what? It turned out to be a fake. Like,
What are you? You know what? I'm gonna Google it since you're too much of a pussy to actually prove it.
what do you mean I have to prove it?
It's your argument. It's on you to prove
Given,
it. I'm gonna say
was
Google
given,
it. Google it. I
it was
can
given to
Google
the Dutch
is
prime
is
minister.
Elvis a lizard person? I'll find things saying lizard people are Elvis.
Listen, people are what?
Rock attracted the lunar rock value that blah 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 blah. That was an investigation. Was a good story with some questions. There, yeah, I'm reading stupid bollocks.
I don't know. When you look into it, I don't know. Like, what if
So
they
they
actually
sent out
take
100
like,
different rocks, and one of them turned out fake. Oh, okay. So the 99, no one reported being fake. Oh, yeah. What are you gonna say about them?
gonna say
Conspiracy.
about what?
Ooh.
like what is this whole proof that this moon mission it actually even happened? Like after 1969, like nobody's like physically been to the moon. They're saying
They
that there's
have. I just
when
told
when
you. There's a whole
when
documentary about a guy who went to the moon. He was,
when
he literally was
here
going to be the Buzz Aldrin and what's it, Neil Armstrong, but there was a
here
miscalculation, so he had to not land on the moon. He had to come back,
exactly
which then he
exactly
got the chance to go
exactly
back later.
exactly exactly. Like the first moon landing, it actually happened in 1969. We are 50 years past from 1969. We are actually in the year 2019. Talk about like how many advancements that technology has actually made. And do you know this claim that the
Exactly.
scientist from NASA? Did you know this claim that one scientist from NASA gave when a reporter asked him like why there haven't been any other manned missions to the moon, like physically landing in the moon? He said that they've actually destroyed the technology. Like what? They
You
destroyed the
bollocks are
technology
you
from
talking again?
1969.
We've been to the moon again. Two, what? Why would you go to the moon constantly? What's so special? Yes, they've been to the moon twice. Second time, they ran all the tests they needed to run. There's no reason to go back to the moon. Also, B, C, Tesla, Mr. Elon Musk, SpaceX, going making rockets that can go to the into space and back on one engine. So,
Then why
Mister, we
anyone
didn't
going
go to
to
the
why
space
anyone
anymore.
going to space?
We're
Why
constantly
anyone
trying to
going
go
to
into
space?
space.
Why anyone going into space like Mr. Elon Musk? He came up with the concept of space travel. Like why ain't it mainstream yet? Why ain't it mainstream yet? It has been going on for like what 5 6 years. Like why ain't
He
anyone
came up with
going
the
into
concept.
space travel?
He made it. By in 2 years' time, you'll be able to buy a ticket for a couple of grand to be able to go above the Earth atmosphere on a trip.
I will believe it when we actually get there.
We've already got there.
When who's this person who's actually been to space?
Google SpaceX.
I'm talking about like I will believe it when like normal civilians can actually go into space. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. So
SpaceX
when it's
when
cheap
SpaceX
to go out
when
of the
SpaceX
planet,
actually
past
launches.
the atmosphere, past the gravitational barrier, when it's affordable for everyone, I believe it. Bullshit. It's not going to be affordable for everyone for the next 20 years, I reckon. Cars. People never used to be afford all everyone. Bleh, bleh, bleh. Not everyone used to be able to afford cars. Cars weren't real until everyone
You're a
afforded
science
them.
guy, right? You're a
That's what
science
you're.
guy, right?
That's what
So
you're saying right now. That is what you're
wait,
saying
wait, wait.
right now.
You're a science guy, right? So tell me about the Van Allen radiation belt.
What?
Van Allen radiation belt. It's basically like this thick
Well,
layer of Van Allen radiation belt.
Manhattan
It's
radiation.
Yeah, it's actually like this thick magnetic field that surrounds the Earth. Like, how are we physically able to get past the Van Allen radiation belt? Tell me that.
I'm googling it now because even though I'm a science guy, I don't look up everything. Only things I need to know.
So, so when you look into it, like how are spaceships able to like bypass the Van Allen radiation belt?
Oh,
It's like
for
strong
magnetic
magnetic
field.
field. Yeah, like how is a spaceship able to bypass this magnetic field, like this strong magnetic field? It's a pretty strong magnetic field. Like, how is a spaceship able to do that? So when you look into it, are they actually bullcrap in us?
Oh, okay, okay. How is a spaceship able to go through it? How are all the um? It's not that strong of a magnetic. It's not strong as in concentrated EMP blast strong. It's a strong magnetic field because it surrounds the whole fucking Earth. It is a molten core creating it because it's made of iron. Believe it or well, not 100% iron, but there's large amounts of iron within our core, which spinning makes a magnet. Now, now, Mister, how our spaceships are able to get to space through this field? Same way you get your TV. Same way we're talking right now. Same
And
way,
do you know that
call
do you know
someone.
that most particles that and do you know that most particles that form the Van Allen belt they're thought to come from solar wind or particles such as cosmic rays? You really think that
They're absorbed by the
ship
Earth's
is man
natural
is
magnetic
able
field.
you really think that a spaceship that is man-made is able to penetrate through this cosmic rays and magnetic fields and all that and just enter into space? You really think so? Without
Yes,
having
because
like sort of a,
it.
without having like some sort of like a protecting
Are you
protecting it.
denying? Are you denying satellites now?
Well, yeah. Let's talk about satellite. Like when Elon Musk launched that car into space, like where the hell was the satellites? I didn't see any satellites in space. Are they saying that they actually have satellites in space, or does it really exist in space? Like
No,
Elon
it's
Musk, he launched
so.
that car into space. Like I
Start
didn't see
again.
any
Start
satellites.
again. Slow
And
down. Start
This
again.
NASA live feeds, which you can actually watch on YouTube, live feeds from NASA, which shows like what is going on in space. Like, do you see satellites
Okay.
from that? And NASA live feeds. Like, where are the satellites? That is a good, interesting subject. Thank you for bringing that up.
No,
Like, where are the satellites?
it's a
Like, whenever
fucking.
they show anything about
It's like you're missing the
anything
basic
about
knowledge. Let me
like,
answer this question. I'll answer your question, so shut up. Simple. It's the same reason why I don't see military bases on Google Maps. Some countries don't like having their satellites position shown. Also, the important thing is, what you must remember, which is very important, how are they showing all this, things from space if they're not able to go to space because of the magnetic field? Yes, I'm just using your argument against you.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, what if this whole thing is like some sort of a uh, what is
Conspiracy?
that thing called? Oh, no, not conspiracy. Those visual effects in Hollywood.
Retardation?
What if CGI? What if
Oh,
this whole thing
yes.
is like
Oh,
CGI
CGI, because
Hollywood?
there's so
What if
much
this whole thing?
money
What if
in
what
faking the
if this whole thing is
universe.
actually between NASA and Hollywood, and they're in collaboration, and they're giving you like this CGI effects? What if like you've seen the Hollywood movies, like how good of a job they're doing with space? Like, what if it's a collaboration between NASA and Hollywood, and they're actually showing you like these fake images of space, saying that they're actually in space, when in reality they're not? This whole thing, it's
Okay,
actually been shown
answer to me
in some
why.
some.
Give me a reason why this is happening. Or are
I
you just pulling things out of your ass?
I don't know like why this is happening.
So, okay, so what you're saying is you have no proof of it happening. You don't know why they would do it. You're just saying it because it sounds nice.
Maybe.
So, your entire argument breaks down to I don't believe in space travel
And
and
also the other
satellites
question, you're
because
saying that
Hollywood.
we can look deep into the universe using like these high powered satellites, right? While using the satellites, like how come I mean while using I mean oh crap, when using these telescopes, sorry, pardon. When you use these telescopes, you're able to look deep into the universe, like you can see other planets and all that. And when you
Yeah,
use the telescopes, like how come you can see the satellites which are actually stationed in space? Tell me why.
because they avoid them so they don't get covered up.
If you can actually see the other planets, and, and the galaxy and the solar system and all that, how can you actually avoid not seeing satellites? Like the claim is that there are
Because
thousands of
all
satellites
these
that are
high-tech
like almost
companies,
all
all
countries.
these high-tech telescopes are regulated because the government does not want satellites being constantly looked at.
So you're saying,
So, all the
wait, so
problem
you're
is they're told when there's no satellites, so they get to look forward, or satellites avoid the area of effect. What's so difficult about that?
Wait, so you're saying that that the telescopes, they're built in such a way that we won't be able to see satellites, but we will be actually able
Uh,
to see other
not what I said.
planets? Is
I
that what
said,
you're saying?
Mr. Smarty Pants, that they are told of the location of the where they're allowed to look, where there are no satellites at that precise moment. Because I'm not actually sure if the satellites are in a um.
So, so
What's so
let
funny
me get
about
this
that,
straight. Wait, let me
Mister?
get this
No,
straight.
no, no.
Wait,
You're
let
laughing
me,
at
let me,
me
wait,
trying to explain to you your wild fantasy. It's like trying.
wait, let
It's
me,
like
let me,
arguing with a kid.
wait, let me just get this straight. Let me just get this straight. I'm saying that if I
Well,
want to look at space at 4 a.m. using my $1 million satellite, $1 million telescope or whatever, like however, like a highly sophisticated telescope costs. You're saying that at that precise moment, there's going to be no satellites out there because they know that you're actually looking into space using a telescope. Is that what you're saying? So what they do is that they will move the satellite away so that you can visibly see that. Is that
yes, they
what you're
move the
saying? Yeah.
satellite. They don't just tell you if you've got such a powerful telescope not to look in that area. Yeah, that makes more sense. Hmm. Actually, no, 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 my friend. I just remembered something that's just gonna break your entire one of your arguments out into like thousands of pieces, right? Okay, ready for this? You claim we've never been to the moon, correct?
I don't know. I don't believe
Why
whatever
is
they're
that?
saying.
Was that not
There
your
is
argument about 10 minutes ago?
I'm completely neutral with this. Like I don't completely believe
I apologize for a sudden cut. Right. Okay, calm down, calm down. So, your argument at one point was basically we've never went to the moon, right?
I don't completely believe it. Something is fishy about it.
You
The
argued
whole
that
moon
a second
landing.
ago, so I'm saying. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, cool, cool. Because there is a way to prove that we've been to the moon.
Which is
Sorry?
which is
There's two. One, on the moon there is a white flag. Because no, let me finish. Let me finish. Because there's two reasons.
okay.
The white flag used to be a flag of America, but all the unfiltered solar rays have bleached it. Number two, a mirror. There is a massive, well, not massive, there's a big reflective plate on the moon where you can shine a laser on and have a laser detector detect if the laser has bounced back. So, riddle me this, Batman. How does a reflective surface in a specific place end up on the moon?
Dude, can you repeat that again? For a few seconds, you just completely cut
Riddle me
out there.
this, Batman. How does a reflective surface find its way onto the moon if we never went to the moon?
I mean, to begin with, like according to the physics of space and all that, like is the moon even supposed to have a reflective property to begin with?
Well, no, it's rock. That's why they put a reflective surface on the moon.
What do you mean, a reflector surface? Like you're saying
The
that a moon
mirror
reflects
on the
light?
moon is a big mirror on the moon where you can shine a laser at and the laser will come back.
Wait, how did they even put the mirror on the moon? Because apparently the gravity in moon is supposed to be 1/6 of that on Earth, right? So if you actually put a mirror on moon, isn't it supposed to float on the moon? How do they actually place it on the moon?
Are you stupid or just acting? If you
No,
put something,
so that like,
attach something to the ground, what has gravity got to do with it?
you're saying that if it's attached to the ground, it won't float around?
Well, the gravity isn't zero, or minus. The gravity is much smaller
Then what? Then how come it's still lying there on the moon?
because they left it there. There is no wind, there's no atmosphere, there's no rain, there's no dust.
Then what about the
Unless
cosmic rays? Then what about the cosmic rays that you just mentioned before? That's supposed to have bleached the American flag. How comes the mirror it was completely unaffected by the cosmic rays or whatever?
what do mirrors do?
They reflect light, but okay, we are not talking about
Oh,
normal light. Wait. We're not talking about normal light here. We're talking about cosmic light, which has like legit
now
radiation
we're
and
talking
all that.
about normal light that hasn't been passed through a a atmosphere.
Let me just ask you this: like, what happens to a mirror, like, if you put it into a volcano? Will it reflect that?
But there's no heat, it's light.
What
Well,
if, what,
technically there is heat because it's
what,
energy,
what
but
is the what is the light that comes from sun? Is it just light?
when it hits you. Um, the difference between the light that hits the moon and us is that it contains R1 contains minuscule amounts of ultraviolet radiation compared to natural sunlight. So it bleaches color from flags, yes, but it does nothing to it reflects from a mirror still because it's light at the end of the day.
You are kidding me, right?
Would I be kidding you?
Like, like in they've been there for like what, almost 50 years, and you're saying that nothing has happened to that mirror? Like,
Okay, first of all, the ongoing Lunar Laser Ranging Experiment, or Apollo landing mirror, measures the distance between the surface of Earth and the Moon using laser ranging. Lasers at observatories on Earth are aimed at retroreflective planted retroreflectors planted on the
reflective.
Moon during the Apollo program 11, 14, and 15, and two Lunokhod missions. That's a mouthful.
But then again,
Hello?
like I don't see like how this proves that we've actually been to the moon. Like all these facts that you've said, like can it actually be replicated in a studio? It can. Can it be
No, no,
filmed in a studio?
no.
It can.
Explain to
With
me
a bit of a
how
CGI effects, like they can do anything.
no,
Like how
listen,
does this
you
prove
just
that we've
you
actually
just
been physically to the moon?
how can you have me shining a laser at the moon and it coming back to me be recreated in the studio? What the
I don't
fuck?
know. I don't know that.
No, because it's not
Very
possible,
crazy
you
stuff. They
fucking.
can make something appear to be. What do you mean it's not possible?
If I'm shining a laser, it comes back and I record it coming back myself, then you say Hollywood is gonna fake the whole thing for me.
I don't know. I'm just saying when you look into it, there's too many
You're an
inconsistencies.
idiot.
Too many inconsistencies. I
What
agree.
is it about that?
You
I just showed you. You're ignoring facts.
on me.
You're cutting out so badly. I think the internet knows how much of a prick you're being. No,
Hello.
listen, I cannot hear what you're saying because you're just cutting out. I'm sure everyone's happy about that. Hello?
Is it better now?
Sort your
Hello.
internet out. Say it. Say
Hello.
something. Hello? Hello? And on that note, I believe Nick has disappeared.
Can you hear
Oh,
me now?
joy. Oh, no, he's still here,
Can you hear me now?
struggling. Go on. Oh, I hear you better now, sadly. Okay.
Oh, yeah, so, like, is it or is it not possible to replicate this in a studio environment? That's all I'm asking. With a little bit of CGI effects, like they can make anything look like anything. Let's just be honest here.
Okay, but that's not the
Heck, they even
point.
make, they,
If
heck,
you
they
had
even
a
make Star
laser,
Wars.
but you don't answer the point. If you had the laser yourself and you shone the laser at the retroreflective surface and it came back to you, how is the studio get involved in this? Is there a studio on the moon?
I don't know. Probably the mirror is designed in such a way that I don't know. Probably the mirror is designed in such a way it is supposed to reflect life,
Yeah, yeah,
light
go on.
out of. Probably that's how the mirror is designed. Probably it is some sort of a mumbo jumbo mirror that reflects light. I mean, light out of it. Maybe that's what happened. They shone the light on the mirror. The light bounced off the mirror, and it get reflected back.
That's what I'm saying. That's how you
So
know there's people been on the moon.
your point being
My point being is we've been on the moon to put up those surfaces so they can reflect the light back.
light back to Earth. Light back. I mean, light back to Earth.
Yes, the laser.
I mean, why can't they actually do that in a studio? it's a big deal? Like light reflecting off a mirror back to Earth.
I'm
Like
telling
why
you,
can't
if you
they not do
person
that in a
prove that
studio?
if people have been on the moon, if you shine a laser, it will reflect back.
And it's
You're
not
not
like
showing this to
like
anyone else.
and it's not like they had a live feed or anything. They have an ample time to like make changes to the video recording or whatever they allegedly said that they
Not
took in the moon.
recording.
So
You recorded. The laser hit a laser detector, and you get bing. Oh, it reflected back.
I don't know. But a live feed, that's all I'm
You
saying.
don't
So
know. You don't know because you have no fucking argument. That's why you don't know.
all I'm asking is can this or can this not be fake in a studio? That's all I'm asking. And with a little bit of effect, can they or can they not recreate this? That is all I'm asking.
Well, no, because your point is stupid. Yes, you can recreate anything in the studio, but what's that got to
Thank you.
do with someone
Thank you.
personally doing it? Anyone
What
can
you
buy a
say?
laser and shine it at the moon.
Well,
So
why don't
what
you
is
buy
your
me a laser and I will shine it at the moon. And when the moon reflects and hits the back, I will be so freaking happy. I'll be like,
say that
oh, look at
say
that. Look at that. It's nice.
you cut out again? Say it again.
Yeah, why don't you buy me a laser? I will make sure that I shine it on the moon. And if the moon, if it reflects back that laser to me, I will be like, ooh, you had a point there.
Okay.
So
Um, how strong must a laser be to come back from moon's retro reflectors? Boom, 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 boom. If I pointed laser, fucking hell, it's not really not much. So much about the power of the laser, but how well you can point into the narrow beam of light at the right spot. Um, tens of kilometers per pole. How strong of laser do you need, fuck's sake? Because you need to pinpoint it at it. That's a whole problem. Can an
well,
amateur
that's why you have mathematics. That's why you have mathematics, right? You can pinpoint like the exact location and the exact direction and all that using trigonometry, I believe. And
yeah,
and
but
I'm assuming that they have the distance and everything measured out since they've actually been to the moon, right? So without actually making calculations, they cannot actually
um,
have a
so
moon land, right?
it's gonna cost you about £40,000.
I don't want to invest that kind of a money.
Well, that's the
Rather,
problem. That's why
I,
everyone
I,
doesn't have the opportunity to do it. It's a possibility. You could rent a laser that powerful. You could, you know, pull up with your friends, but that doesn't change the fact if you shone a laser at the moon at the right spot, it reflects back.
I don't know. This whole thing seems pretty dodgy.
Oh, more dodgy than
Like,
the
no,
government
wait,
doesn't want you to know
let me
about
ask you. Let me ask you.
space.
Wait. Let me ask you this. Like, why don't they show this retro reflecting thing like when you actually take tours on NASA? I believe that NASA conducts like tours and everything there, and I believe that they should be having this laser which is capable of like going to the moon and coming back, right? Like why don't they actually do that in NASA? And why don't they actually have videos of it out?
Because there are videos of it out, but it's not very interesting
Where
for
is like
most
I haven't
people.
seen any
And
videos
the
that
problem is,
videos like
with a tour, you want to show people, the interesting bits, like, oh, here's the rocket, oh, here's the moon buggy, oh, here's the laser we use to calculate how far away the moon is. Yeah. Look,
I don't know, bro. Like when you look into it, there's too many inconsistencies. There's too many inconsistencies.
okay, so
Way
if
too
you go
many.
to if you go to a Disneyland, why don't they show you all the animators that animate your shows if you go on a tour? Why don't they show you all the cleaners? Why don't they show you all the bits? they can decide what they want to show because they only want to show the interesting things. It's not that difficult.
And then the other major inconsistency with this whole thing is the fact that you can literally use a telescope to scout other planets in the universe, but you cannot see freaking satellites. Like, how does that even work? And you also have these kids who actually send like a drone or something to the space or whatever, and even they were unable to see any satellites up there. And I believe that these drones, they can only go to a certain extent in the space, right? They cannot actually leave the Earth's atmosphere to proper space per se, right? If I'm being correct here.
What are you talking about?
I don't know, these kids who did the experiment using a drone or whatever to see, like, they've actually sent a drone or something to space just to see like how Earth's atmosphere looks like.
Now, okay, I just looked it up. You can find satellites with a good telescope, but they move really quickly because they are very close to the Earth. So they're hard to follow with a normal telescope.
That's what they say. You have like all these science people telling you like, oh, this is what happens. This is what happens there. This is what happens here. But when you look into it, are they actually telling the truth or are they actually making this up? You don't know that person. I don't know that person. It is a random person who claims to
No.
be scientist,
Nick,
who claims to be doing research and all
we
this.
need
Is
that
coming up with this
same
bullshit
level of
saying,
science.
saying that,
You
oh,
got
the satellites out there, we got blah blah blah, we got this out there. How do you know if that is true? And if you ask them like, can we
because
conduct
of
this
basic fucking
experiment?
physics.
Oh no, it's too sophisticated. Do this. You need to have bigger brains than us. Blah 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 blah. Then explain like how this shit works. They don't have a proper explanation to this. Yet they claim that there are actually satellites out there. I don't see any satellites.
Do
And
you
if
have a
there,
telescope looking out into the sky?
yeah, you have a telescope, and if there are
Do
satellites out there,
you?
you know,
No, mister. No, mister. Do you have a telescope looking out to the sky?
well, if there are telescopes out, well, yeah, there are telescopes
Do
out
you?
there.
Do you have a telescope looking up into the sky?
No, I don't have a telescope, but I'm
So how
talking
are we
about
going to see satellites in space?
I'm talking about the people who do have telescopes. I've never heard a person say that they've actually looked into space and they've actually seen satellites out there. They've actually made claims that who works
Because
on this
they
planet, that
restrict
planet, blah 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 blah. But I've never actually heard anyone make the claim that they've actually seen satellites out there. And if there are satellites out there, like why ain't anyone seeing space debris? If there are satellites out there, there should be space debris.
there
Like
is.
nobody sees space debris as well. Like why don't we see space debris? Like even Elon Musk, even he launched like a
Do.
freaking
But
car
once
or
again,
whatever space at space. It was
hey,
completely free.
hey,
I didn't see
kill,
anything there.
Nick, 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 Nick,
Yeah, that is
Nick.
my name. You don't have to keep repeating it a million times.
Okay, how fast is 1,000 miles per hour?
Really fast.
Okay, so um, you know that's very fast, right? Would you be able to follow a car that goes 1,000 mile fast past you?
I know one thing. Aeroplanes, they travel 1,000 miles an hour. And when you look at aeroplanes, I can see aeroplanes pretty clearly. And when using a satellite to look at the space, why ain't you able to see satellites? It is something that is really, really, really far away. That is all I am saying.
First, your average commercial airflyer goes between the and 575 miles an hour. So
75 miles an hour. Are you kidding me?
I didn't
An
say
aero
75. No, shut your mouth. That's not what I said. 460 or between 460 and 575. Listen. Fuck. Down. Calm down.
Going like
Sorry.
Alex Jones. You're completely, think you're cool. I bet you're completely red right now.
Now
Man,
complete.
I'm pretty
So
sure that
anyway,
we're
anyway,
actually looking
anyway,
forward to the moment
anyway.
we actually
Let me finish.
see your,
Let me
yes,
finish.
can actually see your
So they
big red face.
travel at half the speed of Earth rotation. Also, here's the other problem. They travel within our atmosphere. So they travel as fast as you. Third thing,
Our
while
atmosphere. They
the
say
Earth
that
is
this
while the
satellites
Earth
it's
is
actually
spinning,
staying
satellites
outside
around.
outside our atmosphere.
What?
Well, the NASA scientists they're claiming that the spaceships they're actually placed outside Earth's atmosphere, as in pure
Atmosphere,
proper space.
the what you call it, orbit. They're within the Earth's orbit, so they move at a different axes. Do you know what an
Yeah,
orbit is?
yeah, Earth's orbit. Yeah, they're saying that it actually moves in the Earth's orbit. Yet they claim that there are actually thousands of satellites out there in space. And how comes these satellites they don't bump into each other? If there are like so many satellites, how comes we cannot see these satellites via telescope? If there are so many satellites out there,
You can,
how comes we
but they
how
move
comes we don't
really
see
quickly. They
debris?
don't bump into each other because they're GPS controlled, so they avoid one another.
When you look into
But
it,
if you have a telescope that's incredibly powerful that can look at, do close detailed pictures of faraway planets, why would you choose an area of space that's polluted with satellites that would ruin the image?
I don't know, like what if someone is like curious to know, ooh, wonder what the satellites are doing out there,
They
and they want to
can't
take a
look
look
at
at the
them.
satellite. Yet there is no claim saying that you can actually look at
You
satellites via
can, but they
telescope.
move quick. Fuck's sake, why don't you follow something that moves at over 1,000 miles an hour?
Even if something that moves 1,000 miles an hour, we can still see a glimpse of it. We can see a glimpse of it moving past you, like going woof, in a split second. You can still
You can.
physically see that.
You can. Who said you
Exactly.
couldn't?
Exactly.
Why
You
is it?
can even see glimpses of
You can.
satellites in space. They claim that there are actually satellites in space. Satellites that actually look like tinfoil aluminium paper. Like what the hell?
What are you? What?
Do you know that most satellites they actually look like aluminium foils?
I, Can we
All
just
I'm
go back
saying,
to space travel because I feel like my IQ is dropping every second we talk.
when you look into it, you gotta look into it. And I still don't get it. Like, why do NASA they cover their spacecrafts and their satellites with tin foil? What does tin foil have to do with space? Are they packing a lunch or something?
So first of all, it's not tinfoil. That, that's number one. That's
It
number
looks like
one.
tin foil.
Yes. Um, liquid nitrogen looks like liquid oxygen or liquid
Oh, that's
hydrogen,
nitrogen. Okay.
but it's actually alumized mylar and Kapton film, using a
Hmm.
multi-layer blanket as a radiation barrier to slow the passage of heat.
To slow the passage of heat, then why didn't they actually use that on the uh, what was that reflector retro reflective mirrors or whatever they have placed in the moon? Why isn't that covered with tinfoil paper?
How do you know what they look like? And second of all, there is no crew inside. There's not crew. There is no need for it to reflect one sort of signal and absorb another. The difference is major different satellites have electronics in them, that lets you transfer things. A retroreflector is a big mirror. Why would you?
Okay.
Why? Why?
Okay, if you say so. I'm not the science expert here, so that is your scientific
You've
part.
done more science courses than me.
I have, but you're more clever than me.
You have a better degree than me, and I'm the one fucking schooling you,
My
boy.
degree, my degree, my degree has nothing to do with space.
Your degree has nothing to do with your fucking knowledge, apparently.
All I'm
What
saying
are
is
you
that you
talking
have
about?
like these NASA scientists saying that, oh, this is how this is that, this is how that is done. Like, where is like that? Where is like their proof? They're saying that it is their word against ours. Like, what is the proof that whatever they're saying is right?
Okay,
They're saying,
do me
oh,
a
this is
favor.
science, that is
Become an
science. Oh,
engineer
we are the
and
science guys.
you're
We're
a
the cool science guys. Ooh, pew 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 pew. But when you look into it, are they actually saying the truth or are they actually saying a bunch of bollocks? And coming to engineering, it is something that can be proven physically by people
so
on so
become
anything
an
that can
engineer and develop a space probe. Go on, go do it.
go and develop a space program.
Space probe or a satellite or a rocket. Go do it now. Go on.
I don't know. I never said that I knew how to build a
That's what I'm
satellite.
saying.
Do
Go
you,
become
do
an
you know? Do you know what I
engineer.
can?
Spend
Do
your
you know
life
what I can?
learning engineering. Do it.
Do you know what I can do? Do you know what I can do? I can wrap something up in aluminium foil and I could make it appear as though it is out there in space. I could legit do that.
Aluminium.
I could do that. I could legit do that. I
I
could
thought
do
we were
that.
going to talk about space, time travel, and you were going to be like, ah, but time travel, but no, fucking Mister Creation is a myth. Oh, that's me. Creation is a myth. Made us talk
You're
about fucking
that. You're the one who
fake
say that.
satellites that you believe don't exist because logic and space isn't real because we can't go past barrier and you don't use telephones because telephones don't require space now. And also, let's forget about all the
Wait,
people
talking,
going to space and
wait.
SpaceX and the
Talking about
moon, and
telephone,
they're not
wait,
real. The planets aren't real. It's all fake. It's a
it is.
conspiracy.
I'm
Because you
talking about
say so.
telephone.
Because the beast thinks, he's in his bestial brain that he's so smart about the space, which isn't real. Fucking fuck!
This is what they do when they don't have a legit argument. Anyways, yeah, talking about telephones, like
You
how is
don't
the
have an
president?
argument. Your entire argument is you have no proof. You just have an idea that you think is real. You have nothing to prove what you're saying. All you
Why,
have is what these science guys are saying. It's like,
why so emotional?
fuck.
Calm down, calm down. You're gonna lose your hair, bro. Calm down,
Too
breathe, relax.
fucking late
Anyways,
for
back to
that.
my
I'm
point.
going bald
Back to
already because I talk to you too often. That this
back to
podcast
my
was a
point.
bad
Like,
idea.
how is the American president able to communicate in space via a landline telephone? Like how? How is he able to talk to astronauts in freaking space using a landline telephone? How? Can you please explain that to me? Can you please
Fuck told
explain
you
that
this.
to me?
Like,
We don't
who
even get
told you
cell reception
it's
when we're out
satellite
there. We
telephones?
don't even get cell reception when we're out there. The American president, he was able to communicate all the way out in space using a freaking landline telephone. Oh, how's that even possible? How is that even possible?
Okay,
Please do
explain
explain
this
me.
to me then.
Mr.
Explain this
Science
to
guy.
me. You talk about all this stuff. So we're not in space? Do you believe in the International Space Station, the IS?
Oh yeah, that's international. Yeah, space station. Yeah.
Do you believe it's real?
Yeah.
But we cannot go into space, so how can it be real?
Well, it is a physical building which is here, and probably they're faking all those space videos inside their studio,
Okay,
inside the building.
okay, fake in the space videos. Okay, so how can you achieve zero gravity on Earth?
How can you what?
Achieve zero gravity on Earth?
Geogravity on Earth.
Yeah.
What is the proof that there's actually zero gravity on Earth? What if this is like a whole hoax by NASA just to make us believe
They
that there's actually zero
float.
gravity
How
on
can you make okay? How can you make someone float on Earth?
Earth? I don't know. They do some sort of manipulation with gravity, I guess, to make people float.
Oh, so
That's what they
so
do, right?
now we have manipulation gravity technology.
Manipulation, exactly. We can manipulate that in Earth. So what if they aren't
Wow.
manipulating
Now we've
at a
got
studio?
technology that's like hundreds of years above ours. Okay, fair enough. How do I even how do I respond to that? Okay. Okay. Surprise, we don't have technology that just turns off the gravity. Are you able to accept that term?
Then how do they do this anti-gravity stuff inside NASA? They have like this technology to do like this anti-gravity simulations or whatever they call it inside NASA. How do they do that?
Uh, it's actually very simple. It's not inside NASA. It's on an airplane.
Which is inside
Because,
NASA, right?
no, let me finish. If you're on a plane that's going downwards, plane. You understand plane, yes? Planes are real, right? You accept that planes are real.
Yeah. Definitely sarcasm. Go on.
Okay, planes are real. Okay. If a plane's going downwards at a um correct speed, it matches your falling matches the power of the gravity, meaning the pressure in the cabin causes you to float as if you were in space because the gravity is cancelled out by the motion of the plane.
Okay.
Now, the longest possible plane dive to achieve that is about 2 hours.
Okay.
About.
All I'm asking is it or is it not possible to actually replicate that here inside NASA headquarters or NASA
No, you cannot
aircraft or
replicate
whatever?
someone falling at that speed in a NASA.
But then they can make people float, right, inside the NASA spaceship or whatever. They do have simulation for that, right?
They do it on a big plane that goes downwards.
Thank you.
You have to. It's basic. Um,
You drink a water or something. I bet your blood
okay,
pressure is off the roof.
I looked it up. I looked it up. The longest flight I was talking about, it's actually like a whole experience. We have 15 parabolas, which provide about 30 seconds of reduced gravity each.
Okay.
So you probably wouldn't be able to get more than 2 minutes out of a zero gravity experience in one go. I mean,
Okay. So
so
you'll still be able to get 2 minutes, right?
in max. Now, a lot of these videos of astronauts in space are longer than 2 minutes, and they're continuous. They don't have cuts, they don't have stops, and they're always in the same spot.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
how are they faking all these videos? It would be so
Have you
much
seen
harder to fake a video than have someone in space.
have you seen the NASA training videos where they train astronauts?
No, have you?
Well, look into it. Yeah, well, look into it.
No, not don't look
They are
into
able
it.
to do that.
Hey,
They were able to do that
you're
inside
point.
NASA. They're
Don't
able to
just say
say they're able
into
to.
it. That's not an argument.
You're saying that they're only able to do this for 2 minutes, whereas in space they're able to do it for more than 2 minutes without having any breaks or whatever. And whereas in NASA they're able to do the same thing without any breaks. So your point being,
In
I'm just saying when you
space,
look into
there's
it, when you
zero
look into it,
gravity. Sudden cut. Once again, we had a bit of a problem. Now we've both decided that I think we're gonna stop the episode here and continue the topic at the next episode, as there's so much more we want to mention. We got very much sidetracked. Um, so yes, is there anything you want to say, Nick? After we just apologized for 10
hope
minutes for
everyone
making stuff.
hope everyone enjoyed the brain's breakdown live on our
Uh,
podcast. Well,
well, it's
not
not
actually
live.
live, but still. Oh yeah, yeah,
Well,
true. It's not actually live, but still, I made you have a major breakdown on our podcast.
we'll
uh,
we will definitely
and
continue
and
this
for and for
episode.
and for and for all the folks who are actually tuning into our podcast, I just have one thing to say to you: look into it. Make sure you look into it.
Yeah. Uh, Once again, comment, share, subscribe, like, punch, click the subscribe button. Um, uh, Actually, with this time, I believe we're gonna do good in our promise, and the top comment is gonna get a mention in the following video. So no matter what you put, we shall say it, unless I decide not to, because, well, at the end of the day, it's my channel. So if you don't like it, um, it's
Depends.
yes,
If you feel like it, we will do it. It's as simple as that.
yeah. You could argue with us, but you just get ignored because yeah, now you would get ignored. We love you guys. Right. Ciao. Bye.
Fine.
Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.